I am originally from Kingston, Jamaica, and moved to Canada in 1977 at the age of 5 years old. And just being with family, I had to go where everybody else went. So we went from Toronto to Mississauga to Burlington to London, kept working my way west, and then stopped here.
Nice, very nice. And at what age, so you identify as a gay man, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and at what age did you know that you were gay?
I would say prior to 10, I knew something was different, but I didn't know what the word was. When I was a teenager, I knew the word gay was happy. And then when I realized it was a sexual preference, I said, uh-oh, that's where I am, because I knew a lot of people in my family spoke bad of it.
Okay, so you grew up in a household where you homophobia was present, it sounds like.
It was present, it was preached everywhere. School, church, home, you are required to be a straight person. That's just the way how Jamaica saw things back in the day. Mind you, Jamaica has turned around for the better, but going back to that age, you're young, you're growing up, you're figuring out who you are, and the sad thing is other people around you figured you out before you did. My family sensed it first, and they just thought it was a phase. And then when I went to school, then it became more obvious because people are saying to me things that I've never told anybody, and I just thought I've never experienced anything with anybody of the same sex. So how would you know that? You made that up. But as time progressed, what they were saying was true, but I didn't want to admit that because I didn't tell them that.
And at what age did you tell your friends and family?
25.
25.
I kept denying it. I pretty much lived my life in music because I remember when my parents separated, and the only way to fight depression at that time was through music, because in our family we were strict. You're young, you focus on school, you can't do alcohol. Even though we had alcohol in the house, it was for family guests of adults. So I knew at a young age alcohol was an adult thing. The parents would mark the bottle, and the kids are growing up, they're going to try and get into things. So because I knew just from seeing, my parents never came home drunk or arrested or anything, so we were structured. So when I saw alcohol, I knew not to touch it. And then of course drugs back in the day was say no to drugs. I heard it so many times. I wasn't afraid to try drugs, I was afraid of getting caught. So I never did do drugs. My family made it quite clear, you don't touch the alcohol. And with drugs, what they did was kind of cute. My mom held up a picture to me and she said, this is what you look like when you're on drugs, this is what it does to you. Then she pulled up another picture. She said, you see this? This is what you look like if I find out you're doing drugs.
Oh my
That
goodness.
told me it doesn't matter what goes on in your world, no matter how bad life gets, you say no to drugs. And that's why when I went to the clubs or whatever, I saw the drugs and my brain's programmed. You say no to that, because even at this age right now, in my late 40s, I hear my parents' voice. You touch that, I feel sorry for you.
It's a good lesson. So, in terms of when you came out at 25, who was the first person you told?
I didn't openly tell people. I was pressured into telling people because I went to a birthday party, and it turns out the close friend of mine was gay, and I found out through his family, and they knew that I was living an unhappy life with a smile on my face. And what they did was they made it as comfortable as possible. And I never even said the word gay in the conversation because I heard the Jamaican culture in me say, you don't ever admit that. So I said to him, you and I are not that different. And he took it as, okay, that's as far as he's going to go. In other words, yes, you're saying you're gay, but you're not going to say that G word. And I said, yes. So it was pretty much my best friend at the time that pretty much encouraged me. And they started off with saying, are you dating anybody? Or do you see any girls that you like? And And I felt my blood boiling because I knew they meant well, but it was an uncomfortable feel meant well.
So they were trying to, correct me if I'm wrong, they were trying to lovingly um, help you come out, but you weren't receptive to that at that time. So it did it feel intrusive?
It felt intrusive. I know I knew what they were doing, exactly what they're doing. This is a private setting. It's in a household. Everybody knows everybody's business in a good way and supportive. And I'm glad to see you're supporting them. I would always use the word them. I would separate me as a gay person. No, I'm Chadwyck. I'm not them. You can say you're gay, that's fine, but I'm not saying I am. If you ask me if I'm gay, I'll say yes, but I will never volunteer and tell you that.
Oh, that's interesting. So there was so much stigma around even just the word. You didn't
Yes.
want to verbalize it.
And not only that, I moved to Jamaica in the 90s thinking that start some new life. And I had a business there and everything. Worked with my grandmother, decorated wedding cakes. And when customers would say, who did this cake? And they'd call my name, they'd call me down because they've never seen that kind of style. And they said, wow, you do amazing work. I mean, I can't wait to see what your wedding cake would look like and you and your bride. And I would just laugh it off. And eventually what made me come back was to Canada was the fact that people were singing homophobic words in music. You'd hear it on the streets. It was always in my face. So when I did the wedding cakes and I heard about, oh, it's a good thing that gays are not welcome here because we don't like the Batiman business. And I just thought, I will never have a wedding cake because I can't put two guys on the cake. It has to be a guy and a girl. So because of that, I got frustrated and I left because I knew being gay in Canada was a lot easier, more tolerance, but Jamaica, it was too bad. And in the music, they would sing such homophobic slurs. They would actually sing the actual words and they wouldn't filter anything. And if I didn't show that I'm supportive of those lyrics, then I was a target. So I was pretty much cursing gays all day long just to fit into the crowd. Meantime, I'd go home every night and cry about it because I said all sorts of nasty things that reflected on me. I was insulting myself to fit in with everybody else.
Wow. Yeah, that would be very, very difficult. Did you
Yes.
did you find um, so while Canada is more accepting, did you experience homophobia in Canada?
Oh, yes. It started here. Actually, let me just balance it out. Since this is Black History Month and we're talking about gay with Black, I would say as of today, if you compare me as a Black man to me as a gay man, I feel more privileged as a gay man. I've made it. I've conquered the gay world. Right now, you can see all the homophobia around me. I could walk into a bunch of homophobic people and it doesn't faze me one bit. I know how to stand for myself. With racism, that struggle is still there. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is that when you know you're a gay person, it doesn't matter what color you are. You get to come out whenever you feel like it, assuming that no one has outed you. You get to come out whenever you feel comfortable within yourself, when you want to be honest with yourself. As a Black person, there's no coming out stage. How many people of color do you know that says, okay, I'm tired of living this lie. I need to tell you I'm Black. It doesn't happen.
That makes sense. So, I mean, really, there's no hiding your color. If somebody has a bias against that, that's going to be visible and obvious pretty immediately.
Right. We live in a society where we know how to treat people bad whenever we feel like it. We know when to say it. We know how to put people in their place. We know all those bad things. But when it comes to good things, do you know how to be a nice person and look at a stranger that's totally different from you and make them feel the way they want to be treated? Because when people, I learned this through the lady that did the brown eye, blue eye exercise, Jane Elliott. Are you going to treat me the way you want to be treated? They call it the golden rule. And I learned from her, we're going to practice the platinum rule, I'm not going to treat you the way I want to be treated. I'm going to treat you the way you want to be treated. Because see, I see you and I'm looking at you, I'm seeing you as a black female. You might look at me as a black male. Should I treat you as a black male because that's how I want to be treated? No. You're a black female, so I'm going to treat you the way you want to be treated. I'm going to call you Miss, Madam. You can call me Mr. You call me Sir. It's easy. If what you're being asked to do is not illegal, immoral, or indecent, why can't people do it? So racism should not be here anymore.
The platinum rule. I have never heard that, but that makes perfect sense.
I thought so when I heard her say that. She did the 1968 blue eye, brown eye exercise the day right after Martin Luther King was assassinated. And she's been doing that ever since. She's in her late 80s. And I said to myself, where was this woman when all this stuff was happening to me in 1978, 79, in the 80s? Then when I realized I was a gay person, HIV and AIDS was labeled as the gay man's disease. So obviously I had to, if I ever got sick with anything, that's my illness because I have a sexuality that says that belongs to me. All I had was influenza, but because I was gay, no, I'm dying of AIDS. Everybody else has the flu, but I, as a gay person, AIDS is reserved for me. That's how people label me.
Did you experience discrimination even in the medical industry?
Actually, yes and no. In my mind, it was a yes, but in reality, it was a no. I was going to do a Facebook video on that later tonight, but now that you asked me, I'm going to make that publicly here. When I was in so much pain from my medical condition, I was asking for painkillers. And they said, what kind would you like? What were you thinking of? I said, whatever gets rid of pain. This doesn't work. The Tylenol doesn't work. And they said, okay, how about Tylenol 3? I said, well, that's a little too much because that causes constipation and all that stuff. Just something that will get rid of the pain without side effects. And they were pretty much trying to test my knowledge to know what kind of pills am I aware of. The black man must know what all the drug types are. And I just said, I don't have a specific, I don't know what the names are. They are long names. The names of them are longer than marmalade. Anything long like that, I don't try and pronounce it. I just say that I want to get the ouch away, make this stop hurting. So that was where we left off. What ended up happening was they thought he's looking for drugs, so he's coming up with this fake pain to get the drugs. No, I got into so much pain to the point where I needed a hip replacement. So when they realized that, they thought, oh, he's not lying. He's telling the truth. I had avascular necrosis of the left hip. And when they say that, they go, okay, that's painful. So because I complained about all this pain for so long and being on crutches for almost a year, this is in 2011, that's when they took me more serious because the avascular necrosis diagnosis told them how much pain I really am in. Where prior to that diagnosis, it's just another black man probably looking for some more drugs. And I am not a drug person. I grew up in the say no to drugs. I've never purposely taken any kind of recreational drug. It was introduced to me and I kept saying no, 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 because I kept hearing my parents' voice all the time. You don't want to look like what I'm going to do to you if I find out you're doing drugs. You better say no.
Interestingly enough, your experience aligns with what research shows, that when Black folk, brown folk are in pain, it's not taken as seriously.
No, but it's not just the painkillers, but we're talking about like even the diagnosis. You got a black person going in with the disease and a white person going with the exact same disease. The white person gets the treatment early and they say, oh, it's just because I'm black. That's where our minds get scarred. It's not because we're black. It's because our black skin produces the exact same symptom differently. When a white person has a rash, you see it crystal clear sharp. They know exactly what it is. The black man that has the same disease has the same rash, but the skin is so dark, you can't see exactly what that rash looks like, how colored it is, because you're surrounded by black skin. And the black person is sicker than the white person, but the white person gets the diagnosis because the white skin highlighted how red those rashes were.
That makes sense.
So the black person says, goes back home. What did the doctor say? It's not bad, it'll go away on its own. And meantime, I'm getting sick and my eyes are red, and now all of a sudden they have kidney failure. But the white person survives because their white skin said, look at this rash. The white of the skin was the rash was so pronounced. They said, I recognize it. The height of it, the touch of it, the size of it, you couldn't see that clear on black skin. On brown skin, you can. So the darker you were, the sicker you'd get because the doctor doesn't recognize the rash on that color skin. Google up rashes online, and every picture comes to you. How many people, white people, you have to go through before you see a black person with the same illness? There's the problem.
Oh, that's a very good point. So, in terms of just to kind of go back to uh, your experience,
Mhm.
you would say that being a minority has actually been a little bit more difficult than being a gay man in Canada.
Being a minority in Canada, yes, because when I was in Jamaica, from I was a little kid till the time we moved here, nobody looked at me and referred to me as the black kid. They looked at me as the Chinese guy because I'm black Chinese. If you call me a black guy in Jamaica and you say, oh, there's that black guy, which one? The whole country's black. So they refer to me as the Chinese guys because they got the Asian eyes, the high cheekbones. That's what they see. So the name that they call me is Mr. Chin, means Mr. Chinese guy. I grew up being called that. When I got to Canada, I'm not Chinese enough because they have full Chinese people here. So when they looked at me here, that's when I became the black guy. I wasn't the black guy until I came to Canada.
So interesting. So, how others identify you is very dependent on your geographical location.
Yeah, that's right. There's one thing I've realized, and I've said this many times. We don't get to choose how you see me. You see me the way you see me. I can't choose how you treat me. You do that yourself. The only thing I choose is how to deal with how you treat me if I don't like it. That's where I have choices.
What has your experience been like as an interracial person? Do you identify as Black and Chinese or just Black? Like, how do you navigate those two identities?
I identify myself as black and Chinese, but when I'm speaking to people, I lean more on the black side because the Chinese side is not giving me any racism. It's the brown skin is what makes people decide if they like me or not.
Interesting.
I don't have to identify myself as a black Chinese gay man because being gay, everybody today has a gay friend. It's cool today to have a gay friend. But in the 1980s, you have a gay friend, you lose your best friend because of that.
Very, very interesting. Um,
It's a lot that I grew up with, and I unfortunately I think racism scars us no matter how much we get over it. We always remember that point. So when you go for that job interview and you did your best, they said you did a really good job, but we offered it to somebody else. Immediately, you showed up the wrong color, didn't you? That's what plays in our heads
it's the
because it
focal point.
happens so much.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can definitely relate to that. I can definitely relate. Um, so for you, as a, how do you prefer to be? How would you prefer I refer to you as a Black Asian, as Black? Like, what's your?
Actually, if it's going to be about color, I'd say I'm a black guy.
Okay, so
But if you're going to refer to me as culture wise, and you want to separate me or you want to point me out of in a crowd of people, but you don't know how to identify me, most people say that's Chadwyck. He's the Jamaican guy because there's no skin color to a Jamaican. Jamaican can be any color.
okay, yeah,
So
that makes sense.
if I say if you refer to me as a Jamaican, you're talking about the black, the Chinese. There's white in our family, but not much, but it's there. So once you refer to me as a Jamaican, you're covering every single part of the whole family tree. But if you say he's a black guy, you're talking about that side of my family. The Asian gets untouched.
Yeah, that makes sense. So for you, what have you noticed a difference in how you're treated with the introduction of Black Lives Matter? Have you noticed any differences?
Actually, when Black Lives Matter first came out, I refused to join it because I thought it was another one of those things. You got the Me Too movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, all sorts of things. And in a way, it's good to help, but at the same time, I just thought, okay, why do I need Black Lives Matter now? Where was it when I wanted to matter and I never mattered? Now that I already matter on my own, you're trying to, it's like Black Lives Matter, you're going to try to support me when I'm already able to stand on my own 2 feet. I needed you to pull me up so I'm able to stand on my 2 feet. But now that's gone. I join it because there are people that don't have the strength that I have today. So I think I am somewhat a Black Lives Matter of my own.
So now you advocate for the younger
I
generation.
don't stand for myself anymore. I stand for the people. If I have to stand for myself, I can't be bothered. I got better things to do.
Have you experienced a lot of homophobia within the Black culture here?
No, it's the other way around. I've experienced racism in the gay community. Not recently. This is way back when I first started going to the clubs. And that's when I started to say to myself, why did I come out? Is this what I was missing?
Mm.
I was missing out on all those racial slurs that I could have just put up with straight people. It was there. So I thought to myself, you come to Canada, people don't like you because you're Black. I thought, finally, I'm now out. I'm going to go to the gay community. I'm protected. I don't have to deal with the racism because they too have gone through discrimination. So they're going to stand by me, even if I'm a different color. And it turned out, no. Guys have said right to my face, I'm sorry, but I can't date you because you're Black. My parents would kill me. And I thought, really? So when Pride came up later that year, of course, they're saying, let's go out and celebrate our Pride and stand in whatever. And I just thought to myself, why do I need to stand with you in Pride? Oh, you're white, I'm Black. We're gay. We're sitting together because we're both gay. But when a Black issue came up, sorry, I can't help you. I got white skin and hair on your own. So I was left to fight for myself as a Black man, but as a gay man, I always had help. A lot of my friends grew up in a racist environment. Their parents told them, okay, I had to put up with the fact that you're gay. I finally accepted that. Please don't date a Black guy. I can't deal with that. And then they end up going to the bar. They see me. They talk to me, chit chat, have fun. But when there's a house party, I'm sorry, I can't bring you back home. You can come, you can come, you can come. No. I've had enough people. I can't have any more. That's their way of saying, no, you got the wrong color. But that was what, 15, 16 years ago. This was my first 2-3 years of being in the gay community. Now that's all changed. I'm seeing the 2 different ethnicities over together. Steven's one of them.
You're right. I was just thinking.
And I'm thinking to myself, oh, things are changing. You got a Black guy and a white guy together. I have another friend named Matt Gress. His boyfriend is a light-skinned Black guy. I thought, you're not going to get in trouble for that? That's all I was thinking. I never asked him that because I remember in my early days, you can't come here to my house. My parents would kill me. Now you got Black and white saying I do. So we're going places in the right.
So there is progress.
We are seeing progress. So for me to say this is happening, it's happening to someone else. It's not happening to me the way it used to be. I'm just talking about it now.
So you have noticed an improvement within the community, where at least where race is concerned.
Oh yes, I have gone to clubs where, and this is as recent as even 2 years ago, and I heard my own mind playing the racist thing in my head. Meantime, it wasn't even happening. I caught myself, and some guy showed interest in me, and I kept backing away, and I kept saying to myself, he's being nice. Why am I being so standoffish? And I heard my own head saying to me, it's not going to work because you know what? You got the wrong color. They start off that way, liking you. And then eventually when something goes wrong, your color will be the reason why. So I would just say no so that the no doesn't come out later. And then I realized I come back home, it was all in my head. it's been played on me so much to the point where I started replaying the past, and that person was totally legit, just wanted to be a nice person to meet somebody, and I would just no, 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 no.
Wow. I can understand that. I can
So
understand that.
even though the racism isn't thrown in my face the way it used to be, it's my own brain replaying it over and over. If I don't hear the N word, then guess what? My brain's gonna create it for me just to say it didn't just end like that. Racism doesn't have an expiry date like a credit card. It keeps going. We live in a world that has racism, systemic racism all over the place. It's in business. It's in the church. I've been to church before where they say, please turn to the next person and say, peace be with you, and shake hands. I put my hand out, the guy wouldn't shake my hand because he looked at me and I saw his reaction. As soon as he saw my hand, he looked at me, he went like this. And then he just shook everybody's hand and not mine. This is in church. If you can be racist towards me in church, then you really need forgiveness when you say, God, forgive us our sins.
Was this a church in London?
Yes.
Wow.
I won't say the name, but it's in the South.
Yeah, no, wow. That's
So if a person doesn't want to shake your hand because you appear to have that wrong skin color and you're in church, where else is this happening? I mean, like people say, yes, the United States, it's worse than here. That's true, but that does not change the fact that it's here.
it's pretty bad here too.
I don't need to have a police officer's knee in my neck and almost ready to kill me in Minnesota to say that I had my issues. I've had a lot of racism. And if it wasn't the racism, it was the homophobia. They would take turns with each other. So either way, I would go to school every day, hated for something. And eventually I just dropped out because I couldn't function. All the bullying that I went through for racism and homophobia caused my grades to slip so bad, even if I tried hard, I could never pass them. And then they said, he's hanging out with the wrong crowd. If he would just take his work more serious, but they didn't even know the bullying was going on. I was always told, if you have a problem, bring it to these teachers. I complained and complained and complained, and they thought, this guy just loves to complain. So they stopped listening to me.
So they wouldn't even respond to the complaint, really.
They did initially, but because I was the one that was complaining the most, they said, nobody, you guys are the same age. Like nobody else in here is complaining as much as you. And I just thought to myself, none of them are black. I don't know if some of them are gay. I would have to ask and find out, look for little clues. I don't need any clues to know if you're black. I knew I was the only black kid in the class. You go to the next classroom, I'm the only black kid. And the next one, I'm the only black kid. So it was easy to find me in school. Just look for the brown skin.
What has have you felt like Pride has been an ally to you, or what has your relationship been with Pride in London?
Pride helped me keep my sanity because I realized that when I went to like karaoke, it was a continuation of my past. Remember I said music became my band-aid? I would get up on that stage and whatever I was feeling at that moment, I would feel things from when I was a little kid that I grew, and I said, I can't believe I lived my life like that. And I took it to the stage and just belted it all out. Mind you, people were cheering me on, but they didn't know they were cheering me on to the pain that I struggled with. There was a lot of pain that turned into entertainment. But now I do new things and I will just get, crazy, raunchy on stage just to, just show a different side of me. And people love it. And that was my way of escaping whatever was going on. So today, music is it's no more of a hiding place. I'm doing it because I enjoy it now. Where before, I had to perform, otherwise I'd cry. So I started off as a break dancer with my brother. Then when that faded away, he went into reggae music. I became a Michael Jackson impersonator. And then I started getting my medical condition. I was writing music in the hospital because I said, they promised me I'm not going to be sick for too long. Once I get this treatment, I'll be as good to go. So I said, okay, I can't sit there with nothing to do. Get the pen and paper, start writing some songs. Then I went back to the club and I performed all of it. Mind you, some people were like, whoa, is that Chad? That sweet little innocent guy? I'm still that sweet innocent guy. That is just a stage character that I created. So if I don't want to be who I am, not like feeling how I feel, I bring out that character and I play out those things in that character. So when I go home tonight and say, I'm down at the bar, it's time to go home, I sleep easier, because I would stay up till 3, 4 in the morning, angry with myself for being born in the wrong skin color, being the wrong sexual preference, and I would replay what society threw at me. So the next day when it's time to leave, I was exhausted. I'd go to work tired all the time. I would go anywhere, to the grocery store tired, or I just wouldn't go, period, because my brain was constantly working overload after overload. So who's going to hate you today and why? Is it because you're the wrong color, or is it because you're gay? Well, you can't really see the gay, because people say, you come across as this straight Jamaican guy. Oh, I get it. Jamaicans hate gays. You know, I'm Jamaican. You automatically see my hate gays, so I fit in with the homophobes, no problem.
Wow.
So the past kept repeating itself, but I was actually talking their talk, even though there's certain words I don't like to hear out of my own mouth, never mind somebody else's, but I would say them just to fit in.
Wow, that's very interesting. In terms of the next generation, if there's someone watching this who is in the closet and thinking about coming out, what advice would you give them?
As for coming out, well, number one, you don't get to control if somebody outs you. But when it's time for you to come out, the first thing you need to do is be honest with yourself, because that's where you get your practice. You can't be honest with anybody unless you're honest with yourself. So you have to ask yourself, what is it about me that I don't like? What is it about me that I do like? Why do so many of my family and friends love me so much, but yet I don't see it? If you can answer that honestly, you'll get somewhere. Because the coming out process, I call it the onion peeling coming out. Every time you peel off that layer off the onion, you tell your mom, you cry. You tell your best friend on the next layer, you cry. Oh no, I gotta tell my teacher at school, you cry. And the closest person in the world to you, the one you went to school with, you guys were roommates, you're the same sex, she dated him, but you dated nobody. And all of a sudden you're like, what's wrong? You don't like him? Oh, I'll set you up. I'll set you up. What you don't realize is I'm in love with my best friend, but I can't tell them that. And then you finally tell them how you really felt back in the day in school 20 years ago, you cry. So the onion layer takes a while to come off, but when you run out of layers, I've run out of layers. I can't cry anymore. I'm all out of layers. I've told everybody.
Wow. So the coming out process is not a one-time thing. These are conversations you're having with multiple people, and all of it is these can be a heavy experience, really.
The more layers you have, the more tears come out. But once you cry them all out and you've been honest with yourself and everybody, you're gonna have to cry about something else. There's nothing left to cry about. You're out of layers. You've peeled off every layer of that onion. It's getting smaller and smaller. Next thing, it's gone. It's that first layer when you tell yourself, yes, I'm really gay. Mom, I'm gay. Layer after layer after layer. But then it gets better. But don't just get better by yourself. Teach other people how to get better like I taught you, just like how they taught me, and just keep that process going.
When you say it gets better, in what way?
It gets better that you're comfortable who you are, you know who you are, you know what you want in life. Everybody wants a good job. Everybody wants a nice house. We're not talking about that. We're talking about just being happy. I know some rich people, oh, I bought a new car, I got this, and then they're the most miserable people in the world. So if money can buy happiness, why are you so miserable? You should be happy. So there is no end to it. You can spend all the money in the world, you're still miserable. And there's the problem that you need to fix is the problem that money can't fix, because the money would have fixed it by now. You spent so much and you still can't fix it without money.
So you're saying that there's freedom and there's joy in living your authentic self and
Yes.
being honest with yourself in the world.
When people ask, wouldn't you like to be a successful person? I say, I already am. Well, you're still paying rent. You don't have a house. Yeah. And you don't have a car. Yeah. And well, how do you call that successful? Well, based on that question, now I know what you call success. Success to you is material things. I bought this. I have this. My friends are jealous of this. That to you is success. My definition of success is this. As long as I'm a happy person, I'm successful. You have to buy things to be successful. I don't. I just need to be a happy guy.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me. And I think people watching this are going to value it. Thank you again.
No problem at all. Thank you.